We are back. Hi, how are you? It's been a while. How's your GBL climb going? Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Hopefully we can turn those fortunes around. If you don't know me, my name's Fish from Pallet Town PvP, and here in these videos we take a look at the basics of the incoming Go Battle League custom meta. So in this case it is Sunshine Cup. Now this is just your basic look at the meta. If you want to look at a complete breakdown of the meta, where we study all the different matchups and how they interact with each other, we go really in depth and in detail into all of them. We live stream a chat regularly on this YouTube channel. It's myself and GBL leaderboard player Lyle Jeffs. At the moment this season we are doing that on Thursday nights at 8 PM Eastern US time. So you can check out the link to this week's video in the description, or you can click here. In the meantime, here's your basics. And the meta revolves around basically 3 Pokemon, and they are Vigoroth, Steelix, and your Flyers. We'll look at the Flyers first because Pidgeot's sitting there at the top of the rankings, and why not start at the top, right? So most of your Flyers are much of a muchness. They do the same thing. You've got Pidgeot, Rufflet, Staravia, Noctowl, and Swellow. They're your big 5. They all know Brave Bird except for Noctowl. They all know Aerial Ace except for Noctowl. Even Pidgeot here, it does have Aerial Ace, although it does recommend the Feather Dance and Brave Bird combination. The thing to remember with Rufflet and Staravia is that they require XL, so they're a bit less accessible than the others, but they are options that are there. You can run any one of these comfortably, or you can even run ABB, double flyer in the back. The standout, the outlier with your Flyers is your Gligar/Gliscor. With the ground flying typing, it turns the electric weakness of the other Flyers into a resistance at the expense of being double weak to ice. And there are a lot of really viable ice type Pokemon, or Pokemon that throw ice type damage in the meta, which we will get to soon. The other thing with Gligar is because it doesn't have the normal typing that the other Flyers have, it does a little better against Vigoroth. And Vigoroth is the next thing we will talk about. Vigoroth is just, I say it so many times when Vigoroth is eligible for a meta, it's safe. There's so little that hard counters it. It has win conditions against everything. Typically, Trevenant is the biggest counter to a Vigoroth. Now, Trevenant's ranked very low on this list. There's so many Flyers around. There's so many Fires around. There's so many Ices around, or things that can throw fire and ice attacks. There's so many things that make it a really hostile environment for Trevenant, but we'll see how the meta shakes out, because where there's a lot of Vigoroth, you usually find a lot of Trevenant hunting it down. It's like nature, you know, the predators will go where the food is. You know what I mean? We'll see how that goes. You've also got Double, which is like a Vigoroth Light. It does recommend Body Slam Payback. You can run Wild Charge on it for the Flyers. You are really struggling with Steelix at that point. And also a Wild Charge will only do like 70% to a Pidgeot, which means that like you can't just straight up throw the Wild Charge. You need to like soften it with a Body Slam first, or chip it with another Pokemon before the double comes in. But you can run, you know, your double normal backline as well. Then you've got your Steelix, and Steelix is, like Vigoroth, really safe. It wins things that it shouldn't, such as it will beat Shadow Swampert in the 2 shields. It'll beat Shadow Gligar in the 1 shields. It comes really, really close against regular Gligar in the 1 shields. It's insane. With that Dragon Tail Breaking Swipe, the key with Steelix is you got to be comfortable going down shields early, because then you've managed to debuff your opponent a couple of times, and their charge moves are now no longer doing anything, so they get really frustrated and they throw their phone. They decide to quit Go Battle League, and then become a content creator, because that's the way to release some of your pent-up energy. What else is there? We've got Swampert is around. Where's that? Swampert is... I'm not a fan of it. Like I said, it loses to Steelix in the 2 shields. The Shadow Swampert does. The regular one's fine against Steelix, but the Shadow Swampert will lose in the 2 shields to Steelix. Gligar will also beat Swampert. It's like the regular Gligar will beat the Shadow Swampert in the 2 shields or something like that. And there's a couple of other combinations there that are favorable for the Gligar, because if the Hydro Cannon doesn't KO the Gligar, the Mud Shots aren't doing anything. So you have to build up to another Hydro Cannon, and during that time they're doing more damage with those wing attacks, and the aerial aces that still come pretty quickly, not quite as fast as the Hydro Cannon, but they still come very, very quickly. And then you can, you know, finish it off with a dig as well if shields are gone. You've got Diggersby, which is a great option against Steelix, not as comfortable against the flyers unless you're running Hyper Beam, and Credilli as well with Rock Slide and Grass Knot I really like. So let's take a look at a couple of other types. You've got your ice types. Abomasnow, which is doing super effective to the flyers, but taking super effective back from those moves. Miltank is like a normal type. It's like a double that's specifically designed to be able to take out those flyers with its ice beam. And Lopunny as well, a cheeky little option with double kick, triple axle, that ice type move, and then focus blast with renewal closing power. Piloswine as well, an excellent closer. If shields are down and you got an energy lead, that avalanche can take out most things in the meta. And finally, you've got your fire types, which I think are just very neutral into the meta. They do really, really well against Steelix for the most part. Victini's a little bit harder. You've got to land like multiple V creates, but you know, your other fire types do very, very well against it. They can generally beat Vigoroth, and they're very neutral into the flyers as well. So fire, like, consider a fire type in your team. We'll see how prevalent Swampert is, but that's it. That's the meta. That's the Sunshine Cup meta. If you have any ideas of Pokemon that we might have missed in this basic breakdown, then pop them in the chat, in the comments of the video. That's what they're called. Or any team suggestions, any groups of 2 or 3 Pokemon that you want to put together. Let us know. Join the conversation. You can maybe help others out with your suggestion. And good luck with your climb.